Welcome back to the Religious Treehouse. I'm Jodie.
I'm Matthew.
How are you doing today, Matthew?
I'm doing good. It's St. Patrick's Day at the time of recording this. Neither
Yes.
one of us are wearing green, but that's
No,
okay. We're having a blast.
no.
How are
The
you
green is
doing?
inside me in my Irish soul.
Yeah.
Um, which is very small. I'm good today. I made curry
Ooh,
and it's cold and chilly where I am, so that was very nice.
like Thai curry or Indian curry?
Japanese.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Fun. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, and not one of the two you listed.
No,
So,
I mean, my go-to when I go get curry, it's either Thai or Indian curry.
yeah.
Um, I don't think I've ever had Japanese curry.
Oh, you need to. There's a place here. I'll take you. It's really fun. When I zig, you zag. So
Yeah.
it's all good. What are we talking about today, Matthew?
We are continuing movie March with the 1922 hit classic Häxan. Häxan? Häxan.
Axon? Maybe?
Häxan. Häxan?
Axon.
Häxan. Um, it's a word. So,
Haxan.
yeah, but the A has the little umlaut. Is that the
Oh, well,
literal?
we should have looked that up if you were going to bring umlauts into it.
I don't think it's an umlaut. What's an umlaut? Hold up.
You called it an umlaut. I know what a
Um,
tilde is.
no, tilde's a little double do. Yeah, no, it is an umlaut. An umlaut's a little double double on top.
Wow.
Um, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Dutch. Um, and it means the witch.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're talking about Häxan. That's how I'm going to pronounce it.
Mhm.
Someone who knows more than us can correct us.
Please.
Oh, but I've never seen this one. I've wanted to see it for so long. It's like one of those like cult classic films that has this like following from some people. I think it's really good for the most part. Like I definitely have my critiques that we'll get into later.
Mhm.
Um, Directed and written by Benjamin Christensen. I don't know. I think for 1922, it's an interesting movie, takes on interesting subject matter. I'm excited to talk about this. What are your initial thoughts?
It was a silent foreign film. Let me just start there. First of all, the first portion was a PowerPoint, or at least could have been given to me in a PowerPoint. After that, we have reenactments of what this man thinks could have happened, and that's the movie.
Okay, so apparently we had different interpretations of this. I think, like, I don't know. I love an old movie. I love a silent film. I know when I like do the film recommendations, I have to like tone back like the old school. There's this one film I'm gonna make you watch it at some point. It's called Into Great Silence, and it's this like 3 hour long like documentary about these monks in I think Germany. I could be wrong. And like it's a silent monastery, so like there's no words. It's just like a 10-minute shot of people like cutting up carrots. It's fascinating. Oh, it's so boring, but that's the point of it. And we'll get to that later. So I'm
Matthew,
like,
this only
it,
worked because I got the excuse to wear the hat. I'm wearing a witch's hat if you're not watching the video. It's very cute. But the accessory was the entire point of this movie for me. What accessory do I wear for monks?
hey, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
All
there's
right.
so many like the pre-Hays Code era and like even like during the Hays Code, like when that whole thing was happening, I think the religious films are I think or biblical films, I guess, more so in the Hays Code era. But like the pre-Hays Code era, I think the way that they explore religion and push the boundaries in ways that they get restricted later on, I think is so well done and so interesting and so much deserving of discussion that we just don't talk about anymore because it's 100 years old.
Hays Code.
And hey, when was it? The 1930 something? 1934. 1934, the Hays Code came out and was like a bunch of like restrictions on what you could put in film.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of like racism in there that like you couldn't have like interracial relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You had to show clergy in a positive light. Um, and like a whole bunch of other like ways to restrict filmmaking that
Yay,
got
censorship.
away with. It was a lot of censorship. Um, but yeah, why we haven't talked about that yet. It's exciting
Okay.
stuff. I'll send you the Hays Code at some point so you can read through it. It's fun to kind of look through at least portions of it because
10
you
bull.
read it and you're like, what? That's not allowed. Um, but yeah, like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it was when like the Hays Code was in effect. So like
Okay.
there's a lot of like restrictions on like the filmmaking.
Got it.
And so like we'll see a lot of like movies before that, like Cecil B. DeMille,
Mm.
like some of his movies kind of pushed the boundaries and like made people uncomfortable. That's beside the point. What and that has more to do with like American films and stuff. This is a Swedish film. I made you watch a 1922 Swedish film and
Silent. Don't forget the silent.
silent, a Swedish silent film, black and white. But like we have little text cards that they tell us what's going on. Like you don't need sound when there's this beautiful musical score in the background, and then there's words on the screen that help us.
Yes, it was very soothing. Put me right to sleep.
um, but yeah, no, I thought the opening that you alluded to being just like a PowerPoint presentation, I love that. I thought that was going to be the entire film. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so good. Because what essentially happened, I have no idea if this is what actually happened, but this is what I imagine happened. Is Benjamin Christensen found an old book of like pictures of demons and devils and witches and stuff, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, this is so cool! I want to show people," which is like what I do when anytime I see a fun art. So he was like, we're gonna look at some artwork and I'm gonna show some people and we're gonna do a little fun commentary on it." And he had a fun little stick that he could point at when he talked about things. And he was like, look at that. Look at the devil being thrown into the fire. And I loved his little pointer stick. I want one myself.
Yeah, during part one, I just sat there thinking, oh God, when Matthew restarts his art videos, this is going to be the template for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so good because it started off because it's this like documentary slash horror film, but like 1922. So like both documentary and horror genres are like in their infancy to an
Mhm.
extent. Um, and so it started off very like factual, very like, this is how witches existed in ancient times. Look at these fun artworks that depicted them in the medieval ages. Fascinating stuff, right? And I was like, yes, it is fascinating.
Yeah. Well, we
But
started all the way in Egypt first,
right, for
and
funsies.
then we moved to Europe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I was
Um,
just reminding you because I liked the way that he talked about the way the Egyptians saw the world being held up by steel beams.
mhm.
That was cool.
Like the way we started with like ancient cosmologies was interesting. We have we done an episode on like biblical cosmology?
No,
That could be coming because that's fun and it's pretty simple. Um,
fantastic. I had never
'Cause-
heard of like the 10 circles before, so
mm, yeah,
hmm.
I mean that one's not so much biblical as other, but
Okay.
like when they started talking about like the pillars that like hold
Mhm.
up the sky and stuff like that, that is he was either drawing on ancient Israelite um views of creation or Babylonian or Canaanite or something like that, that general area. Uh,
Yes. Near
so that was
East.
ancient Near East, yeah. Um, but no, for sure we'll talk about that at some point.
Okay. But yes, now on to the witches. But you're right. He was looking at a book. He was like, oh, look at all these devils.
Mhm.
And they're taking the people and eating them and burning them and putting them in cauldrons.
Yeah, fun stuff. It reminded me, if you remember the oh my goodness, why can't I remember the name of it right now? I did one of those art videos on it.
Oh,
Um,
wow. If only I paid attention to what you posted.
if you only you paid attention. If only I paid attention. It'll come to me sometime in the middle of this episode, and I'll be like, "Oh my goodness, distraction!" But that's fine. But yeah, we can start to like the actual acting of it
Mhm.
all. It was split up into 7 different segments. The first segment was the PowerPoint, as Jodie calls it. And then sections 2 through 6 were like reenactments of sorts. And then the last section was him using psychoanalysis to analyze the witchcraft of previous times. And we'll get to
Yeah.
that.
And this is
Um,
all 1920s information. So if you were expecting real modern thought, which no one was, but they were sitting there going, why are all the the witches old, ugly women? When we know it wasn't just old, ugly women. They did eventually get the pretty ones, but took a
yeah.
little too long.
Well, it was like throughout the movie, they're like the old ugly women, they were for sure witches, and also probably some young women too, some young beautiful women. It was just like it was as if they were trying to be this feminist-ish movie, but then they kind of like remembered that they were trying to be feminist and were like, oh yeah, also the young beautiful women, they can also be witches.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
it was crazy. And we didn't even get to the fact that some women were accused of being witches, so they couldn't own land.
mm,
We kind of almost touched on it with that one painter or writer dude who was in bed, and then his
yeah,
widow would have inherited everything and then given it. Just very surface level, very
yeah.
1920s.
Well, but I mean, that's how it started. I think that was good because I think, or maybe that was the second scene, and we can jump back to the first
Mm,
one if we want to.
yeah,
But the second scene is the one where that old painter man was in the bed, or was he the writer? Whatever. He wasn't
yeah.
important, but he was stuck in bed, and then all the women see this old lady who eats in a weird way, and like in their defense, she was eating like she'd never had seen food before. All the people, anytime anyone ate in this movie, it was as if they'd never seen food before. It was so good. But they were like, oh my goodness, she's eaten like a crazy person. She must be a witch. So they call the monks on her, the judges of the Inquisition, and they're like, witch, witch. And they torture her and interrogate her. And eventually she comes to the conclusion, like, okay, they're just going to torture me. I might as well drag all these women down with me. Like, even though, like, clearly she wasn't a witch, she was like, I'm just going to claim that all of these witches are also witches.
Mm.
And therefore, everyone gets in trouble and I can get my revenge, even though none of these people were witches.
And I did enjoy that she tied it back to the scene before that, which was the woman who wanted to seduce the clergyman
Mm,
and the person who was giving her those tools to make the monk all randy. I was
mm,
like, oh, good. He's tying it all together. Thank
yeah.
goodness. I
Yeah.
was so worried they would be disjointed. Like, but yeah, she was very quick to turn. I'm already burning. Why not bring them all down with me?
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough.
And like it gave like the sense of justice to an extent.
Yeah.
In which I think I don't think we can reduce this to a feminist film, but
No,
I do think it tried to be somewhat feminist. Do you disagree?
you can be nice about it, I guess. I mean, for the time, yeah, it was feminist, but I think there could have been more critiques on the men in
Yeah.
charge. And he kept saying that men were also persecuted, but we didn't really see a lot of that.
Hmm.
He talked about it, but he didn't depict it, but he kept saying it. But he made the
Yeah.
focus on the women, which I guess, yes, makes it a feminist film, but to me it also makes it seem like you're giving men some of this hardship that they were also witches. I don't know.
I think it kind of showed the lunacy, the erraticness of these accusations done by the men who are
Yeah,
doing it for outlandish, crazy reasons and like intentionally trying to entrap these women
yeah,
and saying, no, this is wrong, this is bad, like this is clearly not how it should be done.
yeah.
And these women are being tortured and against like any way that they can do anything, they're doing what they can because the men that they put them into this position is harmful and bad.
Well, he did give us a scene where he showed two men who had dug up a body and
Mhm.
were ready to look into it, and then a woman turning them in, but they never showed us the men getting
Right.
taken and tortured and things like that.
Mhm.
Kind of like they got scot free, man. So
Right. Or I don't know. Could be.
I don't just think, and he didn't put any men in the thumb screws. I get that actress wanted to be put in the thumb screw, but still.
Yeah, I like that like she was smiling the whole time as if she was like enjoying it, and then he like did the hard cut, and it was like she confessed so many things to me in these thumb screws, and there's way too much I could never show you. And then we cut back to it as like she's taking off the thumb screws and she's like smiling again. That
Yeah,
was like, okay, interesting.
no, that's fine. So these reenactments
Mm-hmm.
that we got, I keep thinking about that one line when she touched the younger monk's arm and then he said it burned.
Mm-hmm.
And then that wasn't him saying that she was a witch. It wasn't until like two scenes later when he couldn't get her out of his mind that they were like, "Oh, she's a witch."
Mm-hmm. Oh, and just like in Nacho Libre, 100 years ago, we still can't get out of that trope of sexualizing monks.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, these monks, they've got nothing else on their mind. They just see a hot young girl, and therefore we're sexualizing all of them because we can't make a movie without sexualizing monks.
Well, one
Oh,
must assume they feel repressed in some way.
yeah, one must assume.
One
But
must.
like still, I don't go watch our go watch our Nacho Libre review to get my rant on that. Uh,
Which we did not rant about nearly as much when we watched the Aubrey Plaza, Alison Brie nun movie.
right.
And they
No, it's
were,
true we didn't. And that
yeah.
was the whole point of that movie. I think my the fact that I didn't have a concern with it then was
Mm,
because that was the whole premise of the movie. The whole
mm,
premise of that movie was to kind of dig into the trope, the little hours, that's what it was called.
yeah.
Like the whole point of that movie was to dig into that trope. So like, okay, we're kind of making fun of it while also engaging in it.
Yeah.
And my problem with my problem with Nacho Libre and Häxan, because of course we're lumping those two movies together,
Yeah.
was that it falls into that trope once again,
Yeah.
um,
Not
as it
really
will
addressing it.
with so many other movies. But that's beside the point.
Yes. No, Haxon. Back to your whole feminist. I can see this as a feminist movie. Just if it's made by a man, can it truly be feminist?
Sure, sure,
Is
sure.
I think where my next thought was. But he tried. He tried. I think he did a great job. I think we did at the end touch on things on why these women were accused of things or
Mhm.
like, but it put all the blame on the women's mental health.
Yeah,
It
no, and
didn't
that's
take accountability for the systemic way that these women were othered by individuals within their community because they didn't want them to have wealth or land or
mm,
power.
right. And I think that's where the film really falls short in its, quote unquote feminism, is that it concluded with the Freudian and Jungian psychoanalysis of like saying no, these women weren't actually witches. It was just
They were mentally ill.
no, what
It
was the
was
word?
hysteria.
Hysteria. It was just hysteria, and that itself like falls into so much like gender mental diagnosis because like hysteria was like completely focused on women. Women were diagnosed with hysteria, not really men. So like it's still very problematic, and like the whole idea, oh, if we can move on from feminism, like the
No,
whole
actually, we
idea,
can't.
no, you're right. You, as the woman, you should be able to move the conversation on. I can't say no more
No, can
feminism
I just say
conversation.
one more thing real quick
Yeah.
before we do? But keep your thought because the reason it's deemed hysteria for women is because they're acting outside of the boundaries the patriarchy wants them in.
Right.
They would not be called hysteric if they were men.
Right. Right.
And yeah, that is my last thought. And now we can move on.
No. For sure, I totally agree. And then the fact that we're using this Jungian and Freudian analysis
Mhm.
is so annoying to me because like it can be fun. Like I think if we like go look at Freud and Jung and stuff like that, we can have fun with it. We can have as much fun with it as we do with um oh, you're gonna take offense to this. So we can have as much fun with this as we can with astrology and stuff like that. But I think that the fact that he analyzed witchcraft and I think he went into this with a pre-conclusion that this was going to be a psychoanalysis and this is just going to be hysteria. And he looked at it as if they were the beliefs of of witches and and stuff like that instead of analyzing what witches did, what witches were. He already went into with the conclusion that witchcraft isn't real, that witchcraft is just something of the mind, that is just this different form of Christianity where it's just focused on beliefs of some sort, and that's just his version of witchcraft is a different religion, but just so Christianity in essence when it's not,
Yeah.
when witchcraft is so completely different
Yeah.
and as its own separate thing.
Yeah,
And
because it's
that's the problem.
centralized around this idea of the women's relationship with the devil, which is a Christian idea.
Right, right. And like there's forms of witchcraft for sure that does have a lot of overlap with Christian
Yes.
theology and demons and devil and stuff. But to reduce it to belief and to
Mm.
reduce it to to look at what witches believe instead of to look at witches and their practices, or to look at what witches and you know themselves and how they do what they do, goes in with this dismissive look
Yeah.
and isn't able to analyze it in the due right that it deserves. And I think scholarship has improved over the past century to do that, to look at these anthropological groups, or to study, anthropology and stuff like that, in a way that doesn't dismiss their beliefs or
Mm.
their actions or their practices, or their however you want to phrase it, but rather goes in asking questions, assuming that what they're doing is rational and makes sense, instead of presupposing that it's
Mm.
just their beliefs that are
Yeah.
just different and wrong. And I think
Yeah.
he fails in doing that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, this really wasn't a feminist film. He had them kiss the devil's ass.
He really saw that. Yeah, but he saw that piece of art and was like, "Oh my goodness, this is so much fun. This is so silly, goofy. I have to put that in the film."
We didn't need a line of women doing it, though. Did
Oh,
we?
we didn't. But I think that added. I don't know if it was the 1922 of it all, or
Mm.
if it was him kind of poking fun at like the absurdity of it. I
Yeah.
don't know if that was like, because like the demons and stuff dancing around was very over exaggerated and over the top.
Mm.
And I don't know if that was just the 1920s of it and saw that as part of the genre, part of the horror, part of that, or if it was kind of being silly, goofy fun, and and
Yeah.
being like, oh my goodness, look at these silly ancient, or not ancient, but medieval practices. Haha, isn't that so wild? I don't know what it
I
was per se.
I had never really heard them kissing the devil's butt before.
Oh, you hadn't?
No,
Hmm.
that's new.
There's so many fun things out there.
Which it's like, yeah, yeah, a man would come up with that
A man would come up with that.
because these were the thoughts of men who put together this imagery of what these women were doing on their Sabbath,
Yeah.
which I don't know why the Sabbath was brought into it, but okay.
I
Because
mean, Sabbath in the Christian sense, meaning their day off, the day from the rest.
okay, not in specifically a Saturday.
Right.
Okay,
Not in like the Jewish sense. Like this was very, Christian language.
yeah. Hmm. I did enjoy all of his different depictions of the devil.
Yeah.
He gave us a variety.
We did. We got a lot of fun. Yeah, let's talk costuming.
Yeah.
I thought the costuming was amazing.
Mhm.
Like it was like, I mean, it was bright in like the sense that a 1922 film can be bright, in which like there were different, like it was just, there's a lot going on and it felt very well made. I don't know how to describe it. What are your thoughts on the costuming? You probably have better words than I do here.
I think they really utilized a lot of different variations of what the devil could look like. The
Yeah.
gluttonous, large belly, the over sexualized,
Mm.
ripped, muscly, and there was different like the horns, but also he
And
he
like
kind of didn't just say
animals,
there was
like
a devil, that he said there was devils.
Yeah, devils and demons, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And like
can there
they
be
had
too
the
many devils?
devils, demons, there's however many you want.
Oh, okay.
Um, but and like the rat costumes and the cat costumes, like that felt very well done, very ahead of its time.
Yeah.
At least compared to other things that I've seen of the era.
No, it was very well. I thought it was very well shot
Mhm.
and very well. The creative lens of it was amazing,
No,
in my
I think
opinion.
no, I think this like deserves a spot in like quality like early 1900 cinema, and they
Mm,
had the costumes were great, but also like the filming was well done too because they had those overlaid shots of like when the witches were flying on their brooms and stuff, and they're like
yeah.
in kind of like the background where they had like the two scenes. I don't know the technical language here. You know, for doing so many podcasts about film and movies, we should really like figure out some like film language, but that's beside the point.
I know more than I allow myself to remember, and that's just where I live. I'm like, let me talk like the layman. Um, but I honestly, really, the only issue I had with any of the scenes was the devil butt kissing. And I was just like, that feels unnecessary. But you're right, it does add to the absurdity of
Yeah.
these claims that were being made against these women.
Hmm.
But then him following it up with psychology. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's because the women were crazy. Like,
Yeah.
sir, my goodness.
Yeah. And then what else? Before we move on, because I think
Mm,
there's more to talk about with the
with
psychoanalysis.
yeah.
But oh, the backward scenes, the scenes where they had it in reverse, like the money being like vacuumed up into nothingness, where the
Mm,
film was backwards.
that was good.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh
That
my
was
goodness, this is so fun.
yeah. No, it was very good. I thought the acting was good too.
Mhm.
I'm like, these ladies are putting their whole hearts into this.
They really
I
were.
I hope they were compensated fairly because they did amazing.
Yeah, and then like the blue and red filters that were throughout it. I
Mm,
think that added to like the tone a lot, and that was really good. So like the
yeah.
filmmaking of this, like amazing for
Yes.
1922. Um,
The content.
the content the content could have been improved, but I think the
But for the
content.
1920s, groundbreaking?
No, I think for the 1920s, I think this was a very accurate reflection of the psychoanalysis that was kind of bumping at the time. Because
Mm,
Freud was, I want to say it was like at his peak in like the early 1920s. And like he was so popular, and the Freudian psychoanalysis was going everywhere. And so like it makes sense that this movie would pick up on that and be like, yes, we now have a reason to understand what the witches were actually doing.
yes.
And
Because it was all on the witches. We're not going to psychoanalyze the men who did the things.
we would never.
Would never.
But yeah, like I thought it was so funny that he was like, look at like this modern retelling of psychoanalysis, and it's the woman who's like sleepwalking and like lighting matches, and he's like, does this remind you of anything? Does this remind you of the woman holding a knife earlier in the film? And we're like, yeah, because you intentionally did that. That like has nothing to do with like reality. That's oh, I
No.
thought that was funny.
He's like,
Not
look at
because of
these two
qualityness, but
hypotheticals I made. Don't they seem similar?
yeah. Yeah. So, improvements could have been made. But I don't know. The psychoanalysis, I can't get back past it. The
It,
psychoanalysis is not my favorite thing. I'm not a big fan of it at all.
well, no, no, I'm not a fan of it either because I think it shifts the blame into, and I hate when the blame gets shifted into like an unknown or uncontrolled thing. When like
Mhm.
the blame for like all these women who died rests squarely upon the shoulders of the people that killed them.
Right.
And he just kind of shifted the blame from it being witchcraft to, oh, though these women were crazy, which keeps the blame still on the women.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I would tell him that, but I don't think he is alive anymore.
Yeah. No, he's probably been gone for a while. Um,
But I would have a very strongly worded letter for him.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree that as a product of its time, I think it does interesting things
Yeah.
for for film
Hmm.
as a product of its time regarding the conversations of religion and gender and stuff like that, it still has a ways to go.
Yeah. So if you want to remake Häxan, we will
Mm.
gladly consult.
Yeah, happy to consult. Are there people better suited out there? Absolutely not. We are the most
A
qualified.
100%.
100% the most qualified. I think this could be fun. Like let's ponder. Let's
Let's ponder.
what's the word when we make things up and just do words? Speculate. Let's speculate.
Speculate. Okay.
I think if we were to remake this,
Hmm.
I would want to keep what I would want to do is change the subject matter but keep the style.
Okay.
I think I think we could do something fun
Hmm.
with like fairies or like
Oh,
like that type of mysticalism type people.
I mean, no
Uh,
one died from being a fairy, so
sure, but like that type of
yeah.
or in like the same line, we could do like martyrs from like
Mar
various religions because like people died there. If we want to do that,
yeah.
uh,
We could do werewolves,
werewolves,
wendigos, cryptids of
yeah,
any sort. Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. I think to do we need to find the Dutch word for Bigfoot.
Mm,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. And because
yeah,
then we can go all around the world.
right.
Because it's the Bigfoot, Yeti, abominable snowman.
Yeah, I think there are options for this film style, and there's plenty of subject matters of mystical-ish, religious, or like religious outcasts. I think
Yeah.
religious outcasts, I think could be a good um subject matter of some
Mhm.
sort. We just,
The
find a
hermit.
different the hermit. Oh my
Uh,
goodness, Hermits. That's the movie. That's it. I found it. You found it.
Speaking of feminism.
I found your words. I found your idea, therefore it was mine.
All righty.
Yeah.
Well, this has been the last episode.
No.
Just kidding. No, I think hermits would be good. And talking about the loner,
Yeah.
because, that's another one where people are like, well, they're just crazy. And I'm like, but why are they an outcast? What part of society do they disagree with that you're so keen to hold on to and not address?
No, I think
Because,
there's a lot there because like the hermits, again, I know more about like Christianity and stuff like that when it comes to ancient hermits and stuff. But they were some fun people. Like they did some wild things. There's like some hermits that like would go up on the top of a pole and would just sit on the top of the pole for like days on end. And like they would just do their thing. And it was so exciting. And then
and then,
there's others that like go to the caves and they would hang out in the caves. Oh, there's so much to say about hermits. And then we could, end it with like the psychology of being alone, like you mentioned, and how like we can tie it back into modern day like he did and talk about
mhm,
like the loneliness epidemic. Oh
yeah,
my goodness, Hollywood, hire us now. We've got
yes.
ideas.
Hmm. I will say them and Matthew will steal them.
Yeah, uh-huh. That is correct.
Okay. Any other last thoughts to like round out this episode on Haxan?
I think I got all my thoughts out there. If
Oh,
you have any other.
I do. I enjoyed the scene where the women peed in buckets and then splashed it on the door.
Yeah,
That was fun.
yeah. And again, maybe we didn't talk about like, the horror aspect of this film as much
Oh,
as we might have.
I didn't
And
realize it was supposed to be a horror.
I think this was like categorized as like a horror film.
That's interesting.
I
The
could be
thing I was
wrong.
most horrified was this man's logic.
Right. Well, sure. But like we have a scene where like the witch like plucks the finger off the dead hand
Mm, yeah.
and like I think there's some very intentional grotesque scenes especially for the 1920s where um maybe we're not we're like the CGI and stuff that we're familiar with
We're
grotesque scenes.
desensitized to
We are
that.
desensitized to that. Yeah, for sure.
We're
That's
like,
what I'm
we
looking
know
for.
this is fake because we've seen things that are fake that look far more realistic than this.
But yeah, no, and like the magic of the movie theater of
Mhm.
like the 1920s and the early 1900s. like I think for sure is a completely different experience than us watching this on our TVs. And I think if we kind of put ourselves into that frame, not as if like the early 1900s was this like primitive, like uncultured piece, but because as you said, we're desensitized to this. I think that's what make this a potential horror film for back
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
because
we're
it was so grotesque.
desensitized.
Yeah.
Our 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 attention spans are so messed up from TikTok and Avenger movies. So I could see how someone in the 1920s would have sat, watched this, and been enthralled and horrified.
Mm.
Because, like, number one, moving pictures, the new big thing. Number two, like, she pickled it. She pickled the finger.
Mhm.
That's horrifying.
No, for sure. And then like the smoke and all of it, like it was spooky. It was for sure spooky. I think even modernly we see this as spooky. And I think back then, when this was made, I think it could have been perceived as horror.
Okay.
But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm sure there's many more thoughts out there that exist, and I'm sure everything that we've said has been said by someone else.
Oh, yeah. Probably far more eloquently with more technical terms, but you came here for our joie de vivre. And we thank you for that.
Je ne sais quoi.
Just,
But yeah, what was your rating for this?
I said four. I'm moving it down to three.
Three? Okay.
Yes.
I give this a solid 3.5.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
not like the best movie, but not the worst movie. I think worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
worth
mean,
watching.
I think a lot of movies are worth one watch.
Yeah.
Not a lot of movies are worth watching again. Did I watch this twice because I fell asleep the first time? Yes. So it did get two watches out of me. It really was so soothing. To list that music was so good. I think it was far too soothing. The score was amazing.
Yeah.
Just very gentle at some points. So,
Yeah. Cool.
all right.
Well, this
Well,
was a
that's
good
been,
conversation.
yeah.
Jody, do you want to close this out?
Well, yeah, I need to close this out by asking, was this a movie depicting a
Oh,
religion or a religious movie?
yeah. Your thoughts. You
It
answer.
depicted. I did it depict an accurate was it an accurate depiction of witchcraft? No.
Right.
I don't think so. It depicted this caricature that everyone felt comfortable with at this time because why would we talk about the fact that witchcraft does also exist outside of the Christian ideology and
Yeah.
theology? Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, no, I think this was about religion.
Yeah.
Especially given like its documentary-ness of it all. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think yeah, the fact that it didn't upset me that it was like about Christianity and it had Christian influences because I think that's what the witchcraft that they were talking about was about. Um, I don't think that their intention was to discuss all of witchcraft and all of witches, but I think they were focused on the the witchcraft that plagued the minds of the Middle Ages in Christian Europe,
It's
which
just
yeah.
ridiculous because witchcraft is like herbalism and women finding community together in order to work outside of the parameters of the patriarchy. And these women were crucified for it because they weren't reliant upon these deadbeat men who wanted to put them in thumb screws. It makes me angry.
Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting getting these feminist rants from you. I love them. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's all I have to say. If you have anything else to say, go for it.
No, that's it. Welcome back to the Religious Treehouse. Have a great day. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, not on the Bird app, Facebook. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Did
And
I
email
miss
us at thereligioustreehouse@gmail.com.
email? Email's key. Comment on our videos and you might get a response from Matthew.
And tell your friends. Say, hey, here's this movie that we watched together.
Yeah.
and then send them this video and be like, here's what these fools have to say about it.
Yes. Yes. Movie night. Häxan movie night. Put on your witch's hat. Find your finest brew. My goodness. I cannot speak. Oh, my favorite quote to end this from the movie. Poor little hysterical witch. In the Middle Ages, you were in conflict with the church. Now it is with the law. My dear hysterical witches, go forth and cause havoc. Bye.
Bye. Is the go forth and cause havoc the witch version of be gay, do crime?
Be gay, do crime. It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. Be gay, do crime. Ooh, I almost left the meeting again.
No.
Like last.